David here with ST Success. Do you sometimes struggle with too much stress and feeling overwhelmed? If so, you're definitely not alone. You, me, most people struggle with having too much pressure in our daily lives. And that's why today I'm going to share 5 tips to help you reduce your stress and cope with it much better. I'm confident that after watching this, you're going to have a fresh perspective and you're going to feel like a burden has been lifted. So let's get started. A recent study in the UK found that 74% of adults felt overwhelmed or unable to cope. The USA seems even worse off. A Gallup poll found that 8 out of 10 adults are afflicted by stress. This is a real problem for you and for me because prolonged stress causes more than just unhappiness. Over time, it can seriously wreck your health, your relationships, and more. You've probably heard me say in other videos, we're here to help you be your best and enjoy the adventure of life. It's hard to enjoy your adventure if your stress level is off the charts and you're feeling totally overwhelmed.
What I see is that you are getting worked up. And what I would hate to see is for you to get overwhelmed.
That's why I'm pretty sure you're gonna love these tips. The first 2 tips come from an English professor I had during grad school. At the time, I was totally overwhelmed and I had a huge paper due in a couple days. It seemed impossible to get it finished, so in a panic, I went to visit the professor at his office. Seeing that I was completely overwhelmed, the professor said, "Tell me about something really challenging that you went through in your life." I shared about how I worked for 4 months up in the Arctic Circle to save money for grad school. It was Barrow, Alaska, a small town at the northern tip of North America. Sometimes polar bears would wander through town. When I arrived there on May 8th, the temperature was about 15 degrees below zero. It was extreme conditions to say the very least. The prof said to me, "If you handle that, I'm confident you can get through this too." It was amazing. Once he told me that, my whole perspective changed and my stress just melted away. And this is tip number 1. Think about something difficult that you overcame in your life and then say to yourself, "I survived that, so I can handle this too." The professor then observed that I had taken his course, Credit No Credit, and I replied to him, I'm here to study math and teaching, so I just need a passing grade in your writing course." Then the prof said, "I notice you got an A on your first 2 papers. I'm going to give you a 0 on the next 2 papers. So your overall grade will be a C, and you're done. Congrats, you passed the class, and there is no need for you to come anymore or to write the last 2 papers." Just like that, I was off the hook. It was amazing. I didn't have to go to class anymore. I didn't have to do any more work. Mid-semester, I was completely done with that class. Which brings us to tip number 2. Reduce your stress by reducing your workload. There's many ways to do that. Get help, delegate, push back the deadline. This tip definitely works best when you seek help early. Don't wait to the due date and then ask for last-minute changes. Your boss, your professors, they're often much more flexible and open to changes as long as you come to them in advance. While in grad school, I also had a friend invite me to go visit Korea for 2 weeks. He said, "Just get a plane ticket. Once we get there, I've got transportation, food, lodging, everything covered." I told him that I probably couldn't go because the trip was going to happen during finals week. But on a whim, I decided to ask my professors anyway. The professors all said, "You can't pass that up," and made special arrangements for me to take the final exams early. One of my math professors said to me, "You can go on one condition. You have to take the final exam on the airplane and mail it to me from Korea." And so that's what I did. While everyone else was sleeping on the plane, I put the tray table down, and I took the 3-hour open book final exam for Euclidean geometry right there on the plane. Tip number 3 is change your thinking. One great way to think is tell yourself everything is easy. When kids are young, we teach them to say,
I think I can, I think I can.
Positive thinking, right? Well, saying everything is easy is like super positive thinking. Basically telling yourself, I got this, bring it on.
No problemo.
Another way is to think that starting is 70% done. Just because you start doesn't really mean you're 70% done, of course. But after procrastinating and have all this pressure and feeling like there's a huge burden on you, then once you actually start, all that goes away, and so it feels like you've done a tremendous amount just by getting started. Tip number 4 is focus on the present. Have you ever climbed up a tall mountain? Now take that a step further and imagine you're going to the top of Everest. Climbers there don't focus on the 58,000 steps it takes to reach the top. They instead just focus on the next 1 or 5 or 10 steps, because every step takes so much effort, and if you focus on all the 58,000 steps, it's overwhelming. So you just focus on the task at hand and go a little further, and then after that, then you do the next 10 steps, and that takes a lot of the pressure and stress away. Tip number 5 is limit multitasking. A lot of people think that through multitasking they're going to get a lot more done, but studies have shown that it actually reduces productivity and increases your stress. Personally, I only multitask when I can delegate or use some sort of machine or software program where I set the thing up, I let the person or the program or the machine do the work, and then I come back when it's done. That, to me, is good multitasking because it doesn't require me to be constantly checking and being interrupted, and it lets me focus on other work to get it done, and it doesn't create more stress. I want to wrap up this topic by asking, what part of your life causes you the most stress and makes you feel overwhelmed? Please share in the comments section down below, or you can send me an email if you'd rather keep it more private. Depending on what people ask and share, I might do a follow-up video to target and address common issues that are afflicting or bothering a lot of members of the community. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I really hope these tips help you reduce stress and feel overwhelmed, well, never. Please consider subscribing down below and click that little bell icon so you don't miss new content that comes out every week. If you enjoyed this topic, you can click on one of the videos above to hear more tips about success mentality or public speaking. Until next time, this is David signing out.